The typical contact us button doesn't provide a compelling reason for anyone to take action. Like, no one wants to do that. Plenty of the clients that we've worked with have changed their call to action from something generic and bland like contact us to request a quote. If you had someone contacting you, say through your website or any other source, what would be the next step that you want them to take? Welcome to Websites That Convert, the podcast where your website stops being a liability and transforms into your greatest asset. I'm your host, Shannon, and I'm going to guide you through the strategies and insights you need to build a website that not only attracts, but converts. Let's dive in. What if I told you that there's one simple change that you can make to your website today that could double your conversions overnight? It's often overlooked, but it is so simple, and it's a game changer, honestly. If you want to know, stick around and I'll tell you exactly what it is. In today's episode, I'm going to reveal the one change that you can make to skyrocket your website conversions quickly and easily. It's all about a key element on your website that is often overlooked, and it is something you've probably heard of, your call to action. So I'm going to explain why a generic contact us button might be costing you leads and what to use instead. It's probably one of the most common things that we see in the agency when we're auditing websites and seeing how we can improve their conversion strategy. So the problem is that many websites miss out on conversions because their calls to action are unclear, buried, or uninspiring. The typical contact us button doesn't provide a compelling reason for anyone to take action. Like, no one wants to do that. So what you can do is switch up your call to action, which is going to make a huge difference. What you want to do instead is to choose a call to action that uses specific action-orientated language that clearly tells your visitor what to do next. So think of things like book your free consultation, get started today, claim your free guide, request a quote, apply to work with us, anything like that, just not contact. In order to know what this should be for you, all you need to do is look at your sales process. So if you had someone contacting you, say through your website or any other source, what would be the next step that you want them to take? So let's say you're a trades business and you have someone contact you through the website. You're probably going to give them a quote, or you're going to ask them some more details so you can put together a quote for them. Now, if we go back to the website call to action, the call to action in that case would be request a quote. So all we're doing is bypassing that initial contact form. But I do want to make it clear that your forms on your website shouldn't be overcomplicated either. We want to have a maximum of like 5 fields. We don't want to ask too many questions. You can get more questions or ask the client or prospect more questions once they're a lead and they're in your system, and you can clarify their needs and give them that quote. But the point is that person is taking a specific action that is going to get them something in return. So we don't want them to just put a contact form through and then just wait for you to get back to them with the next steps. They want to request something like a quote. You get the details. You may need to ask more questions potentially, but we can create automations that ask the client those questions for you. But you already know what this should be. All you need to do is look at your sales process. You don't need to reinvent the wheel or come up with anything. It really is just to bypass that initial contact. So we know how effective this can be because plenty of the clients that we've worked with have changed their call to action from something generic and bland like contact us to request a quote or book an appointment. And the conversion rate and quality of the leads that are coming through always increases. One that comes to mind straight away is a smoke alarm company that we worked with who had a poor performing website, and we redesigned it with a strategy behind it, put the right calls to action in, and changed the call to action to request a quote, and then literally getting hundreds of leads through their website every single month. So We know that this works. We know that it makes a huge difference, and it's something that you can easily implement into your website yourself. Like, you don't need to work with someone to do it for you because you already know your sales process. And if you can edit your website, you can probably just change the content too. Now, is it going to get you the same results as working with someone who can professionally design and develop a website that converts at a high rate? No. But I want you to have things that you can put into place yourself, that you can feel empowered to apply to your business and see if it makes a difference. And because the purpose of this podcast is to help you grow your business through having a website that converts. And this is something you can definitely implement yourself. Now, on the flip side to this, the most common thing we see is someone having contact us as the call to action, which is boring and bland and not specific or action orientated enough. On the other side of it, what we sometimes see is people that are asking too much detail. So like I just mentioned, we don't want to have more than like 5 fields on the contact form, ideally. Just because you change your call to action from something generic to something more specific and you may need more information from them, it doesn't mean that you need to get it all there and then. So I've kind of already gone into this, but just wanted to retouch on that. Even if you change the call to action to something more specific, still just keep it as simple as possible. Get their details, ask the questions after, or start thinking about automations and systems and processes that you can put into place so that lead is responded to straight away, maybe asking those additional questions that you need in order to give them that quote or get them to that next step too. So I'm going to do another episode about lead automations, something I call the speed to lead process, where you are getting back to that lead literally instantly using automated email sequences. So make sure you listen to that one if it's something that you're interested in. But definitely don't think that you have to ask all of the questions on one form, and definitely don't think that you need to just have contact us as your call to action. And actually, definitely just please don't do that. Change that as soon as possible, even if it's just the wording of it. So to recap this episode, the one thing you can do to double your website conversions overnight is to rethink your calls to action. Replace generic calls to action like contact us with specific value-driven phrases that tell your visitors exactly what they'll get when they click and what they should do next. This simple shift can create urgency, provide clarity, and guide your prospect towards taking the desired action that you want them to take. You already know what this is, you just have to look at your sales process. But if you want to dive deeper into how to get your website working for you, you can grab our free Website That Converts playbook. It covers everything we discussed today and even more to help you turn your website into a client-generating machine. Click the link in the show notes to get instant access. But that's all for today's episode. Now go and change your call to action, optimize your website to convert, and let me know if these tips are helpful and what else you'd like to hear on the podcast. But that's all for today's episode, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to Websites That Convert. If you found value in this episode, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Follow us on all social media. And if you're a service-based business owner that's looking to double their website conversions, book a call with my team using the link below. I'll see you in the next episode.